The savanna is like a land without a roof. Here, the sky feels so close to the earth as if it touches the backs of elephants and brushes the manes of wandering lions. It becomes a grand theater of nature, a vast stage where life is displayed in its most honest form, being born, growing, hunting, surviving, and ultimately facing death. In this landscape, contrasting elements blend into a unique harmony. The savanna is neither a dense forest nor a barren desert. It exists between the two, an ecosystem that is harsh yet full of life, where every creature plays its role in an unending cycle of nature. Savannas stretch across several continents around the world. However, Africa is their true home, especially in regions such as the Serengeti in Tanzania and the Masai Mara in Kenya. It is in these two landscapes that the savanna appears in its purest and most dramatic form. What makes the savanna so distinct is its openness. There is almost nowhere to hide. Here, every living creature is clearly visible and every movement carries consequences. Life in the savanna seems to be divided into three main roles: those who hunt, and those who wait for death. Lions stalk and hunt herds of antelope that remain constantly alert, striving to survive threats that come without warning. Meanwhile, in the vast sky, vultures circle slowly, waiting for the end of each hunt. All move within a single, inseparable web of ecosystem, a cycle of life that is harsh yet balanced. In the savanna, nothing is wasted. Every ending becomes a beginning for something else. However, the savanna is not merely a stretch of land filled with wildlife. It is a complex system of life, where various elements of the ecosystem coexist side by side. Every creature has its role while also being a threat to others. Here, life becomes an eternal stage where birth and death occur without end. In the savanna, the rainy season usually arrives between March and May, then returns briefly from October to December. When the first rains fall, nature seems to awaken from a long slumber. The grasses, once yellow and dry, gradually turn green within just a matter of days. A landscape that was once barren is now filled with new life. For herbivores such as zebras, buffalo, and antelope, this is the long-awaited moment. The rejuvenated grasslands provide an abundance of food, drawing them together to graze and begin once again the cycle of life on the savanna. Fresh, protein-rich grass strengthens the bodies of herbivores, an essential provision for the upcoming migration journeys and mating season. This is the time when many species choose to give birth, taking advantage of the abundance of available food. Across the vast savanna, zebra foals are born almost simultaneously, creating a remarkable natural event. Within the first 1 to 2 weeks of life, they must be able to stand and walk. In this open world, even the slightest delay can mean death. However, the rainy season is not only about birth and hope. The water that brings life also carries threats. Pools scattered across the savanna become gathering points for predators, as well as breeding grounds for unseen diseases. Even so, despite all the lurking risks, the rainy season remains the most fertile phase in the savanna's life, cycle, a time when life grows, thrives, and once again fills every corner of this wild landscape. However, that celebration of life does not last long. As June to September arrives, the savanna changes its face. The dry season begins bringing far harsher challenges. Water becomes increasingly scarce. Grasses dry out under the blazing sun. The ground cracks from drought, and sources of life gradually disappear. It is during this time that the real struggle begins, the fight for water. Not all animals are able to survive. As water sources dwindle, large herds begin to move. They leave behind the land that once sustained them, embarking on long journeys in order to survive. This is the moment of the Great Migration, one of the most spectacular events in the wild. More than 1.4 million wildebeest and around 200,000 zebras leave the Serengeti plains, moving toward the Masai Mara in search of the remaining water sources. This journey is far from easy. They must travel hundreds to thousands of kilometers, crossing a savanna filled with danger. At every step, threats lurk. Lions and hyenas follow closely behind, waiting for an opportunity amid the exhaustion and chaos of the herd. When herds of herbivores gather at the remaining water sources, danger is never far away. Behind bushes and in the shadows of trees, lions, leopards, and hyenas lie in wait. They understand the laws of nature perfectly. Without water, prey will weaken, and weakness is opportunity. The dry season teaches an important lesson on the savanna. The balance of life depends on scarcity. The more limited water and food become, the stronger natural selection works. The strong will survive, while the weak gradually disappear, becoming part of the inevitable chain of life. Naturally, the savanna receives around 500 to 1,500 millimeters of rainfall per year, most of which is concentrated within just a few months. Outside of that period, drought dominates the landscape, transforming the savanna into a harsh and unforgiving environment. Daily temperatures in the savanna generally range from 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. However, when the dry season reaches its peak, ground surface temperatures can soar up to 40 degrees Celsius. And when night falls, temperatures can drop drastically, especially in higher extreme contrasts that every living creature must endure. Amid these intense conditions, the savanna continues to move to its own rhythm, a world where every second is a test, and every life must keep struggling to survive. Unlike rainforests that are always humid or deserts that are extremely dry, the savanna lies somewhere in between. Here, life evolves to become highly adaptive. Each species has its own way of dealing with the harsh changes in weather. Elephants use their trunks to dig into the ground, searching for hidden water sources beneath the surface. Unknowingly, they also create access for other creatures to survive. Hippopotamuses rely on a different strategy, storing water in their bodies and becoming more active at night to avoid dehydration. In the sky, vultures and eagles are almost unaffected by the seasons. They simply wait, observing from above, then descending when life ends, appearing like the closing act of a cycle. Meanwhile, zebras depend on collective memory passed down through generations. They follow fixed migration patterns, remembering the locations of water sources that are key to survival. All of this shows one thing: the savanna leaves no room for the weak. In this place, survival is a skill, not merely luck. The savanna is also a world that is almost never truly dark. Even in the middle of the night, life continues to move in silence. But when the morning light begins to rise from the eastern horizon, a new story begins. Morning in the savanna is not just the start of a day. It is the most critical moments yet also full of hope when every creature once again faces the ongoing struggle for survival. As the first rays of sunlight touch the tips of the grass, the savanna awakens once more. Some animals rise to forage, others to hunt, and some stay alert for a single purpose: avoiding death. Zebras and wildebeest are often the first to move. They are true wanderers, rarely ever still. As the sunlight begins to warm their bodies, the herds slowly form into formation, moving together in one direction, like a single, living, breathing organism. Zebras, with their striking black and white stripes, remain constantly alert. They possess sharp vision and communicate through subtle body movements. When one zebra lifts its head, the others quickly follow, a quiet signal that danger may be lurking nearby. On the other hand, wildebeests may appear more careless, yet beneath that impression, they possess an exceptionally strong migratory instinct. Often, they are the pioneers setting the direction, discovering fresh grazing lands, and guiding the herd toward water sources. The relationship between zebras and wildebeests is more than mere coexistence. It is a form of intelligent cooperation. Zebras help detect danger, while wildebeests lead the journey toward survival. However, behind the calm as they graze, danger has never truly disappeared. On the savanna, threats are always present, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Leinster rulers of the savanna fawn choose the early morning as the best time to hunt. The cool air, calm winds, and softer, less detectable footsteps create ideal conditions to approach prey unnoticed. A lioness, followed by her sisters, begins to move slowly. They understand that attacking a large herd directly is a major risk. Therefore, their primary targets are isolated individuals, a distracted zebra, or an older wildebeest left behind by its group. Lions are not solitary hunters. They are social predators, and their strength lies in cooperation. Hunting in groups allows them to take down prey much larger than themselves. When one lioness initiates the chase, the others position themselves on different sides, creating a deadly trap, enclosing the prey in a circle with no escape. Within this structure, lionesses are the backbone of the hunt. They work collectively, relying on strategy, coordination, and speed to bring down prey from zebras to large buffalo. Meanwhile, male lions rarely participate directly in hunting. However, their role is no less important. They defend the territory and protect the pride, especially the cubs, from threats posed by rival males. When a new male successfully takes over, he often kills the existing cub's brutal strategy to end the females, nursing period, and accelerate the return of the reproductive cycle. Behind the strength and glory of the king of the savanna lies a harsh reality that power in the wild always comes at a high price. Unlike lions, leopards are solitary hunters that live in silence. They hunt alone, without the need to share their catch. Every prey they capture belongs entirely to them, providing maximum energy from each successful hunt. In the savanna, leopards are rarely seen in open spaces. They are more often hidden among bushes or perched in low trees, relying on camouflage and patience. However, in the morning after hunting, the night before, their behavior becomes more visible. With the strength of their jaws, leopards drag their prey up into trees. There, they store their kill out of reach of other predators. At this height, they can feed in peace without having to remain constantly alert to threats. This strategy offers a significant advantage. A leopard can spend days consuming a single large prey without disturbance. In addition, Storing food in trees helps preserve its freshness, longer keeping it safe from ground heat, insects, and other scavengers. In their silence and intelligence, leopards reveal another side of life. On the savanna, the survival is not always about group strength, but also about strategy, precision, and patience. One of the unique features of mornings in the savanna is the presence of spotted hyenas. These animals are often misunderstood as meres. In fact, more than 70% of their diet comes from their own hunts. In the morning, hyenas move in packs. They take advantage of the remains from nighttime hunts, or even begin new hunts of their own. With incredibly strong jaws and remarkable endurance, they are both efficient and opportunistic predators. Not far different, African wild dogs also display impressive hunting abilities. Compared to lions or leopards, they are among the most efficient hunters in the savanna. They hunt in groups with organized formations, relying on speed, coordination, and exceptional teamwork. Behind the seemingly calm morning light, the savanna is actually filled with strategy, movement, and hunting, a world where every second is part of the struggle for survival. As the day begins to warm, elephants emerge from their shelter. They are not hunters, yet their presence is powerful. Each step seems to shake the ground. With their massive bodies and immense strength, elephants are rarely targeted by predators, except for the young that are still vulnerable. In the morning, elephants usually move toward water sources or forage for food, digging up roots, pulling grass, and reaching for shrubs. Not infrequently, they knock down trees to access leaves at the top that are otherwise out of reach. However, these actions are not merely for their own needs. Unknowingly, elephants create opportunities for other creatures, providing pathways, food, and new living spaces for many smaller species. Through this role, elephants are not just inhabitants of the savanna, but also guardians of the ecosystem's balance, shaping the landscape and ensuring the continuity of life within it. On another side of the savanna, giraffes, the tallest land animals, began to move slowly. With calm and graceful steps, they reach the tops of acacia trees that other animals cannot access. Behind their seemingly peaceful nature, giraffes remain highly alert. Their long necks are not only for feeding, but also serve as natural watchtowers to detect danger from afar. Giraffes also possess extraordinary tongues, which can reach up to 50 centimeters in length. These tongues are muscular, strong, and highly flexible, functioning almost like a hand. Their bluish-black or dark purple color is rich in melanin, helping protect them from sunburn as they spend hours feeding under the scorching sun. They are very selective in choosing their food. Young acacia leaves are their favorite, despite being surrounded by sharp thorns. With precise tongue movements, giraffes can avoid the thorns and pick the best parts of the plant. Unknowingly, this feeding activity has a significant impact on the ecosystem. By reducing tree density, giraffes allow sunlight to reach the ground, enabling grass to grow more abundantly, which then becomes a food source for other herbivores. In addition, through their nutrient-rich dung-containing seeds, giraffes help spread plant life across the savanna. Although they rarely run, giraffes can reach speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour when threatened, fast enough to escape predators like lions. However, there is one moment when they are extremely vulnerable: when drinking. To reach water, giraffes must spread their front legs and lower their necks, creating a position that makes it difficult to escape. This is often when predators take the opportunity to attack. Even so, giraffes are not easy prey. A single kick from their legs is powerful enough to crush a lion's skull. For this reason, adult giraffes are rarely targeted. Only those that are weak or careless risk becoming part of the savanna's cycle of life. Meanwhile, along the edges of the savanna's rivers, hippos appear like silent shadows. At a glance, they seem passive, as if they simply remain still in the water. In reality, however, hippos are nocturnal creatures active at night. When darkness falls, they leave the water and graze quietly, before returning to soak again in the morning, staying submerged until late afternoon. behind this calm exterior lies a very dangerous nature. Hippos are among the most deadly animals in the savanna. They are highly territorial, aggressive, and unpredictable. Even elephants and lions often avoid confrontation with them. When threatened, a hippo can attack with its incredibly powerful jaws strong enough to crush large bones in a single bite. As semi-aquatic mammals, hippos can weigh between 1,500 to 3,000 kilograms. Although they may appear slow on land, they are remarkably agile in water. Their massive bodies are designed to float, dive, and move silently, blending with mud and water like unseen shadows. However, their territorial behavior becomes even more pronounced during the dry season. As rivers begin to shrink and water sources become limited, living space narrows and conflict becomes unavoidable. Tension rises in every corner of the water. When elephants come to dig for water along the riverbanks, creating shallow wells, they unknowingly enter the territory of hippos. And it is at this point that major clashes can occur, a sudden eruption of fury from a creature that once seemed calm, yet holds immense power. Zebras, wildebeests, and antelope drinking at the water's edge are always at risk. Attacks can come suddenly not only from predators, but also from hippos if the herd gets too close or makes them feel threatened. Even crocodiles, which share the same aquatic habitat, do not always dare to confront an adult hippo directly. Countless crocodiles have been killed simply for crossing into their territorial boundaries. During the mating season, hippos become drastically more aggressive. Although they are not hunters, they are capable of killing if disturbed. With mouths that can open up to 150 degrees, they display massive tusks nearly 50 centimeters long. Their jaws possess tremendous strong enough to break bones and tear flesh, even without the intention of eating. In the waters of the savanna, hippos are more than just inhabitants. They are silent rulers, guarding their territory with unpredictable strength and fury. If the savanna is the stage of life across the open plains, then the sky is the balcony of the audience, a place where eternal observers watch every scene from above. They are the spies of the sky, birds of prey, and scavengers that keep the wheel of life turning. On the same morning when lions begin their hunt, the sky also comes alive. Small birds leave their nests, chirping to attract mates or warn of danger. But the most striking presence belongs to the rulers of the eagles and vultures. Eagles soar high in circles, surveying the savanna like unseen overseers. With incredibly sharp vision, they can spot small prey from distances of up to 2 kilometers. Their targets vary: ground rodents, lizards, and even unsuspecting chicks. With powerful talons and deadly beaks, eagles are precise hunters. They do not attack randomly, but instead wait for the perfect moment, a small opening that creates opportunity. In any instant, they dive from the sky, often giving their prey no chance to escape. At times, they snatch young birds from their nests. At other moments, they confront more dangerous prey such as snakes or even other birds. Whatever the target, one thing is certain: eagles are sky predators that maintain balance, ensuring that small animal populations remain under control across the vast savanna. Meanwhile, vultures play a very different role. They are not hunters, but faithful watchers following the trail of death left behind by other predators. From high above, they glide calmly through the air, observing every change unfolding below. When a zebra or wildebeest falls, perhaps the result of a lion's hunt during the night, it doesn't take long before the sky begins to fill with shadows. From all directions, flocks of vultures arrive, gathering at a single point, competing for every last piece of flesh. With an exceptionally sharp sense of smell, they can detect carcasses from dozens of kilometers away. They circle high above, patiently waiting, then descend slowly once death is certain. Within minutes, hundreds of vultures can surround a single carcass. Yet, their presence is not merely part of the feeding cycle. Vultures possess an incredibly powerful digestive system capable of destroying harmful bacteria and viruses from decaying meat, including deadly diseases such as anthrax and cholera. Without vultures, the savanna would be filled with rotting carcasses, becoming a rapid and deadly source of disease. In other words, They are the natural cleaners of the Savannian scene guardians that ensure the ecosystem remains balanced even in the face of death. The savanna is not merely a grassland where creatures hunt and are hunted. It is a complex web of life like a woven fabric, where the break of a single thread can shake the entire structure. Behind the world's focus on the ferocity of lions or the speed of cheetahs lies a subtle relationship between connection not always visible, yet deeply influential. They depend on one another, affect one another, and at the same time threaten one another. But in this harsh world, nothing is truly permanent. Symbiosis can turn into betrayal in an instant when food becomes scarce and water dries up. At that point, instinct takes over, erasing the line between ally and enemy. Mourning in the savanna becomes the most critical moment. Everything happens almost at once: feeding, hunting, moving, and surviving. Every creature understands one unwritten law: those who are too slow will become prey, but those who move too fast may exhaust themselves before reaching safety. It is here that true balance is tested, not just about who is strong, but who can endure on the thin line between life and death.